Before we start the meeting this evening, I think as many of you know, we lost a senior this weekend. Michaela Washburn passed away after an automobile accident. So let's take a moment to remember her and her family. Thank you. I'd like to call to order the regularly scheduled board meeting of the Parish Union School District Number 95 Board of Education for Monday, February 3rd. Let the record show that all members are present. The voting sequence for this meeting is as follows: Tuttle, Bailey, Calvert, Isaac, Sanchez, Davis. Audience to visitors. Anybody in the audience like to address the board? I would like to introduce two young ladies I brought with me this evening, Megan Faulkner and Whitney Manwaring. They're both CPAs at Larson, Widger and Henson, and they are enrolled in the Paris Area Futures Leaders class. And one of the requirements is to come to some type of board meeting, so I brought them with me. So glad to have you.
Can we put them to work and stuff?
Absolutely.
They've been here before. We did the Future Leaders here before Rain and David.
Anyone else this evening, audience visitors? If not, consent agenda. You have the minutes from the January 13th meeting, a list of bills, and the December treasurer's report. Does anyone have any questions on the consent agenda this evening? If not, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Tuttle?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Calvert?
Yes.
Isaac?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Davis is yes. Secretary's report?
Yeah, I got a appreciation card here. It's from the family of Joe Creed. He said thanks for the donation for the teacher's breakfast. Said Joe really enjoyed that time of year. He loved teaching science and Mayo and being in charge. Said thanks again. Joe's former principal at Mayo passed away. December. That's it.
Before I get to the superintendent's agenda, let's say hello to Nancy. Nancy, it's
Hello.
glad to have you back in town.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Superintendent's agenda?
Okay, the first thing we have this evening, if you don't mind, Jeremy, did we put Jeremy's in first or is yours up here, Scott?
Where's that first?
Let me go ahead and just switch the presentations around because then Scott may have some things he needs to do. And so if that's okay with Dave's here too to do this one. So well, I have Scott Bennett here and Dave Meister here to give the board an update on the building project. Now the Beacon did a wonderful article that just came out in the paper, so we probably a lot of that is covered, but I thought for those of you who aren't on the co-op board, it's kind of nice just to hear the update and get that put in the paper as well. So this is Scott, and then Dave, just take it over.
Don't know if I'm qualified for this particular apparatus, but we really should. Hello, everybody. It was a good news article. I will back that up. Probably one of the better ones I've seen. It was mostly accurate, which is refreshing.
Is the clicker, you know, Sam? Okay, it's not working.
There we go.
There.
Truly in the old-fashioned way. Okay, just a little bit of status on the status of the project, where we are out in the field. The site utilities work is completed. Although the temporary power is on site in multiple locations, both around the building and then out in some of the laydown areas, so the contractors have it out there as well. The earthwork has been suspended for quite some time and won't do any more of that. Say we're probably about 95% done with that anyway, so that looks good. On the building side, the foundations in Area A will be completed this week. There's some internal foundations. Obviously, the foundations were there for the steel, but there's some internal foundations that were skipped in order to allow the steel to proceed. The Area B foundations are ongoing, and we expect those to be completed within a couple of weeks. Steel, they are finishing up Area A as we speak, probably today, if not tomorrow. And then the Area B steel work will follow the foundations work later this month. Masonry work will also start in Area A next week. They expect some material deliveries at the end of this week. If possible, anything in those foundation walls. The geothermal drilling is ongoing. I would say they're probably about a quarter of the, they have about 70 of the 230 installed, so it's a little more than a quarter, a little more than a third actually. There's 230 of them, they're 300 feet deep. They're a messy bunch, but they are working through the cold weather. If it dips below 20 degrees on any kind of regular basis, then they can't work because all their drills are water-based. Underground piping work, again in Area A, will start next week also, once the steel guys are out of the way. Safety, good to report, we've had no incidents on site. All the contractors have been doing a good job with safety so far, so that's good news there. Talk a little bit about the building Area A versus B. I just wanted to go over this with you again. The workflow that we will do is A, B, D, and then C. So generally we will be working west to east. So Area A is your theater area and some of the classroom wings, including the STEM lab and the first extended learning area. Area B is your core of the building, including the admin and the main entry. So that's the area they're working in foundations right now. D, which one? Like you said, I wasn't properly trained. Area D is the gymnasium and the locker room area. So they'll be moving into that area next for the foundations work. And then Area C is the last classroom area. So that'll be the general flow from A to B, up to D, and then over to C. Some photos. This goes back to about the middle of January. That's some of the backfilled foundation walls. You can see they're completely backfilled up on the, there's no pointer here, but up in that top right corner you can see some of the, definitely not qualified. No. Oh, man, this is exciting stuff. So right up here you can see there's some of the insulation that's going in before they backfill. This is the parking lot, the east parking lot. There's right there is a, kind of hard to see, but that's one of the light pole bases. You can see this way and that way are the conduits that have gone in for those light pole bases in your parking lots. That's the very first piece of steel. I emailed this picture out. Hopefully a lot of you saw that. That was on January 15th. Steel work has been going very well. I was even amazed when I was putting this presentation together how much work they've done in a very little bit of time. And this is a good example. This was, I think, Thursday, January 15th. On Friday, January 16th, they had all that up. That is basically the back of stage area for your theater. Pretty much done in terms of the steel in a day. That, my laser here, this large truss, about 10,000 pounds. It's one of the biggest picks and sets we did or will have to do on the job. That was done on the 17th. That's basically over the front of the stage. That's what spans the stage. More steel work. You can see this again is your back of stage area. This over here would be your auditorium area. And then down here they're starting to work on the classrooms in Area A. There was, just to point out, there was a small area of the building pad that was not constructed properly, which we caught and corrected. So Foyt's came back in with Hanny's help. Hanny's a concrete contractor, and they fixed that area. So that's just one of the many QA/QC things that goes on when we're out in the field. More steel. Those are the joists, bar joists for your auditorium. That's about 94 feet. So pretty big pick there. Not necessarily heavy, but obviously an awkward piece. This is the ongoing foundation work in Area B. This is your curved entry, basically that curved corridor, the north side of that curved corridor. South side is over here, up to your main entry, and again your auditorium there in the background. More steel work. This is there. That's the first piece of steel for the music room, which will end up going right about here. There you can see it right there. That's your music room steel. Those are all those bar joists that went up over your auditorium. There were similar ones that went up back of stage, and you can sort of see that they've already got the bar joists up in that music room there. Just kind of an overall look. That's kind of the view out of my window of, again, starting in the west and working east towards us. So that's the majority, probably all of the area is steel up. The majority of the area is steel joists, bar joists are up. And then in the foreground, you can see the foundation work ongoing in Area B. More of that foundation there you can see underneath. That's the tarping and blanketing that we do for the freshly poured concrete to make sure it's staying warm during the winter weather and the cold weather. And then the rebar is coming up out of that they're working on for the foundation wall. And again, that will be similarly blanketed and covered and heated with temporary heating equipment on site. That's the first part of the decking that has gone on. Again, they're finishing that up today as we speak. They pretty much have the entirety of Area A decked. They did that in just a few days, and then 31st was Friday, right? So in a couple of days, they've got the majority of the building decked already. And just, we took this picture this morning there. The geothermal well work is ongoing. The steel pictures are a little more exciting than the geothermal pictures. That's about as exciting as it gets for geothermal. Those are two of the machines. There are actually three machines that they have going out there at any one time for digging oil. Just overall, in terms of project schedule, site work was for 2013. All those activities were started and completed on time. We got pretty much everything and more done in 2013 for the site work than we were expected to. Foundation work was delayed about 2 weeks due to the MBFB issue and getting the waiver from the CBD in terms of our goals. We had 8% and 4% versus the 10 and 4 that were the goals. To me, hitting the 8 and 4 was a pretty remarkable accomplishment. Steel was delayed 3 weeks due to the same issue, but geothermal drilling was able to start 2 weeks early. Now, we did lose a couple of weeks due to the really cold temperatures, but I have no concerns regarding the geothermal drilling. They'll get that done in plenty of time. And during the month of January, we lost 8 days of no work on what we call the critical path activities in the month of January alone. We hadn't lost any prior to that. So we continue to track that. We'll monitor that against the actual historical weather data, and we may have to have some discussions with contractors regarding some extended time for their durations. But on the good news side, completion is we continue to rework the schedule, we re-coordinate activities, we start some earlier, start some later, and we're still showing an on-time schedule. So that's the good news. Design-wise, some of the open issues we're still tackling. There was a STEM lab redesign that was requested by the district. That's out for pricing with the contractors. Still waiting on some formal direction regarding the maintenance building and what you want to do there. Gymnasium sound system, the sound consultant is working on a design for that. The theater catwalk, that's pretty much closed. That was a value engineering suggestion we got from the contractor where he basically self-performed the design of a catwalk system and saved the district about $57,000. Library patio, we just got some drawings and what we call an RFP, or request for proposal, out to the contractors for an added patio at the library area. Concrete paving, there were some sections of concrete paving added to the parking lots. A monument sign, that's kind of a new issue that we're looking at right now in terms of what kind of sign you want out on 1200 Road. Right now, all we have is a conduit, or a couple conduits, one for power, one for tech, out to the road. We don't actually have a sign out there, so we're looking at that. District has requested some added floor boxes in the library and extended learning area. We're working through that. Classroom paging system is something that was not included in the base scope design, so designers are currently adding that to the design. And then last one, not really a design issue, this tennis court subgrade issue, really a field condition where we hit some area of unsuitable soil, for lack of better terms, and wet soil we have to dig out and or drain out. We do have a design solution for that, but we won't be able to get that in place until the weather cooperates in the spring. Budget, the budget is broken into these 6 categories. There's the direct costs, which are the contractor costs. There's the 3 different types of contingency: the construction contingency, the designer contingency, and the owner contingency. There are the professional services costs, furniture, fixture, and equipment costs that the district is carrying. And then there's also a district budget for data, audiovisual, and security. And there should be one more. There you go, for material testing, inspection, and printing. So we track this on a daily basis, weekly basis. It's reviewed at our bi-weekly OACM meetings. And again, the good news here is we are on budget for all of these kinds of categories. In particular, the contingencies are all still funded with a fair degree of money. And that's all I got.
From an administrative point of view, first I'd like to take this opportunity to kind of thank Nancy and Gary for giving us such great coverage and letting the community know what's going on with their new building. There's starting to be a lot of excitement, and you see that steel going up and people are wanting to know, and I think you're doing a great job of keeping the community informed. It's their building and they're going to be very pleased. You know, from my point of view, you know, this is almost 4 years. By the time we get to October, we would have been working on this for 4 years. And to finally see that thing going up just almost makes, you know, the shots of electricity going up the spine to see that thing finally going up. It's really kind of neat. I think the kids are starting to get excited, the community's getting excited. And I think it's kind of just real poetic that the first thing we saw go up was the auditorium, the stage and the auditorium there, and this board's and both boards' commitment to the arts and to continue to do everything we can for making a broad spectrum experience of our kids. I think that's really important, and I think that's a great statement for this community. From an administrative point of view, Scott pointed out we're looking at FF&E, which is furniture and fixtures. We're looking at that pretty closely. We've had a couple presentations from companies come in and talk to Mrs. Bailey and Mrs. Sutton and myself, and we're kind of looking those things over. Got some pretty big decisions and some suggestions to bring to the building committee on those things. Like Scott mentioned, we're also looking at a paging system. I spoke with Jim Patnaw today out at Crestwood. He's busy looking at the different ways to zone that, and that's coming together. We want to be able to do basically 5 different zones with the theater, the classroom wings on the east and west side. We want to have the gym separate and also the cafeteria and library separate, so we were able to page through different parts and also be able to play music and do lots of different things. The key thing for this building is flexibility. It is going to be something that we can take our current programs in and plug in, but the thing is also it creates a situation with extended learning, some flexible classrooms, and some spaces that will allow us to do some widespread project-based learning, larger group learning, small group. Every area of this building is going to be used for education, whether it's from our extracurricular activities, our co-curricular activities with band, or our hardcore activities, whether they're elective or required courses. It's going to be really cool. This thing is really going to fit into our academy program very well. Our freshman kids are getting their first taste of that. In fact, as they sign up, they're basically going to be able to declare academy going into this spring. And our teaching staff is working on building those interest-based units within the curriculum. So everybody's really getting excited about what's going on here, and I think as a community, we're just so lucky that we've had the guidance from the boards of education that we were able to get to this point. I don't want to go much longer because I know we got other things, but any questions the board may have?
I think we still have a long way to go, and we do need, and we've been talking about the furniture. That's just a daunting task in itself, just talk about furnishing the building and those things. But as far as the maintenance building, deciding how we want it, both of the committee members are on your board as well. So if you need a decision there, I'm sure we and Tom would.
Well, we did speak with Mr. Cordy about his ideas, and he basically agrees with us that a building that's disconnected from the main building would work best, especially if we're going to be storing a bunch of equipment there. And if you're going to be doing loud work, you're going to be doing some welding, some work on equipment out there, keep it away from the main building as well. So we believe we can probably put that up by ourselves outside of the construction and save quite a bit of money.
Yeah, I think that's what we're
once the construction is over.
I just didn't know the way you thought maybe we needed a decision now, so that.
So that's basically what we'll be bringing to the building committee as we come forward. So
And I mean, we've been working with it daily and daily, but I know for some of you not on the co-op board, it's just nice to hear it and see it and just it becomes more real. Especially when Scott's out there every day, and I just can't believe that they've gotten this much done in this weather, so that's great. Thanks. Yeah, you are asleep. Sam took them all coffee one day, didn't he, Sam, the workers out there? 40 cups of coffee or
Well, that steel going up made the difference.
Ah.
When people first seen something going up, that's when they knew it was really,
We had,
That's gonna be a building.
yeah.
one of my guys was out for lunch or something, maybe a day or two before the steel went up, and somebody, citizen, bet him that high school was never gonna get started.
Well,
Oh, that was a good bet, I would take a bet.
I mean, I still have people tell me, they'll come up and say, you'll never get your money from the state, you know, you'll see somebody out the thing, you'll never get it built. I still hear that.
Mhm. It's just nice to see it going up.
Work around thing.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna go quickly through the rest of the meeting because then the boys here may want to leave as well. We have some resignations that I want to bring before the board this evening. You have a letter, you received one from Kim Woods, who is an aide, an LD classroom aide at Wentz School, indicating it would be resigning at the end of this year. We also received a letter of resignation from Letha Brown, who has served as a special ed preschool aide at Memorial, that indicates she would be leaving at the end of this school year. This time I'd ask the board to accept the resignations of Kim Woods and Letha Brown at the end of the 13-14 school year.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? If not, Tuttle,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Davis is yes.
Okay, we also received a letter that I attached of resignation from Hannah Church. Hannah is resigning as the chorus teacher at Mayo School, and she also works at the Paris Cooperative High School. She's planning to relocate next year, so she did submit her resignation with regret. I'd ask the board to accept this resignation.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, Tuttle,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Davis is yes.
Okay, and I have another resignation. It's Nancy Brown, who is a one-on-one student aide, and I brought this separately just because she's asking hers to be effective immediately. The others were at the end of the school year. We do have a sub in place. She's been gone for some medical reasons for a while, so we have a sub there, and that recommendation will be coming forward to employ for that student by the next board meeting. So at this time, I would ask the Board of Education to accept the resignation of Nancy Brown, effective at the end, actually the end of January.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, Tuttle,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Davis is yes.
Okay, and Mr. Roberts is here this evening, and he has made recommendations for the employment of two individuals for his department. He's asking for Austin and Dylan Redmond to be employed. Austin would be filling the vacancy left by Bernie Brady, who was a custodian who retired at Mayo Middle School. He's been filling in there. And Dylan, he's asking to bring in to the maintenance. We have been short on maintenance. Actually, Dylan and his brother, they've both been kind of helping Sam on a part-time, almost full-time basis in these departments for several years. You started in high school, actually, working for us on the work program in the co-op program. So at this time, I would ask that the board approve the employment of Austin Redmond as custodian at Mayo School and Dylan to assist in the maintenance department.
Second.
Any discussion?
Which one's which?
Seriously.
Seriously?
Dylan here.
Okay.
Austin.
Well, I've seen the guys for the year. Yeah, I know. I've seen them.
Yeah,
for the
they
year.
came
out first.
Yeah, I just wanted to-
Sam, how do we know that you told us correctly? No way to check.
Believe me, sir.
Sam knows.
Tuttle,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Davis is yes.
Thank you.
And if you guys have something, you're free. You don't need to stay for the rest of the meeting. And if you'd like to, but. Next, we have Jeremy Larson is here from Mayo Middle School. Jeremy wanted to present to the board, give a brief presentation on the new computer labs at Mayo School. He worked really, really hard to find monies in the Title I budget and other ways. As you are probably aware, we're gonna be doing a lot of our testing in the future is gonna be required on computers, using technology, so he's trying to get ahead of the game a little bit, and they'll have 4 labs at Mayo Middle School. He's also very, very proud of his attendance rate and what he's worked on attendance, which does impact our state aid and other things. So Jeremy?
I'm gonna make this very brief, but I'll show you, because I know everyone's got places to go. I have volleyball to go to soon. I made this low tech. I didn't do a PowerPoint. I let it pass around. But I have just pictures of our computer labs. Mayo started off this school year with 2 computer labs, and we're gonna finish off with 4 computer labs. And it's not just technology for the sake of technology, but we're required by the state to start testing students instead of paper packets where they rip them open, the teacher tells you go. Now it's literally on the computer starting next year. So every school is supposed to take the number of kids you have in your buildings, which is approximately 300, divide by 2, 150. That's how many computers you should have to get through the testing window in time, minimum. So I said, okay, we have this huge task in front of us, how are we going to get there? And so we took the budget that we had previously, adjusted it to fit our needs, and we're able to install, 2 new computer labs. And I can't tell you thank you to Mr. Roberts enough to really help me get this accomplished, because, I can have a vision, but if I don't have someone who's there to support me, and Mrs. Sutton, and Nathan Bell, and the Redmonds, and everyone else, it couldn't have been accomplished. So here is one computer lab where I actually have it down there. The day I told my teachers, it was last week, I said, okay, I'm gonna put the sign up sheet. They ran downstairs and started signing up, because it's just so important to have that technology access. We have a second classroom. This is the second computer lab. It's not quite finished yet. We're waiting for the tables to come in and exit. Okay?
We fought hard to get this table
So,
out of this year's budget.
oh,
We had to go through a lot of people.
So you can see, well, I have a vision for the school, and I definitely want to keep working hard for that. And so you can see that we have another classroom. We're able to use storage rooms. Last year when I came in with Mr. Roberts, I had this huge storage room that was really just a dumping ground where everyone just put all this stuff in, and I said, we got to clear this out and utilize this room better. And so this is a 3rd classroom, so I have 2 new computer labs and a 3rd classroom, and you can see the round desk because we like the cooperative learning styles. And so I'll pass that around as well.
Health go in here,
Health goes down there. And so you can actually see within this year at Mayo Middle School, we have added 3 new classrooms to the school, 2 computer labs, and 1 health classroom, just to better utilize our space. And I know I've been talking with my teachers, because I still, in my mind, can better utilize the space within my building. When I started, I thought instructional leader, but part of being an instructional leader is saying, how am I going to utilize the space within my building the best possible ways so that we can enhance the instruction even further. And so I've been able to work with Mr. Roberts over here very well. And we took storage rooms that just had paper in them, and we were able to say, okay, let's start giving more space to kids and more space for learning. And it just makes me feel really good. I'm proud. The other things I wanted to show is, and I'll be real quick about this, is at Mayo, when you walk in, it says Mayo Middle School SMART Goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And I put those up there because I want people to know how we're performing. I think it's important to know, are we doing well? Are we doing bad? And I like my teachers to walk out and see that. One of the things that I get hesitant about is people will say, I feel like we have a lot of discipline lately, and they start talking negatively, or I feel like kids don't really care anymore. And I just feel like, well, let's look at what the data actually says. And so we post that up there and we set goals for ourselves. And we don't always meet our goals. And I'll show you on here one of the ones where we didn't. But it gives us time to reflect. So if you look at the one with a bunch of numbers that has the attendance, it's this one right here. You can see at the top we have the 2012-2013 school year on top, the 2013-2014 school year on the bottom. And this is proudly hung, and I even see other schools when they come for basketball or volleyball, they stop and they look and they want to actually see our numbers. And I just can't tell you how proud I am of these. You can see like in August we increased 1% compared to last year. September and October we stayed. I personally think these are good numbers, the 95s, because the state AYP is a 92%. So a good school is supposed to get 92% attendance, so we're still 3% above what AYP is, which AYP is usually a pretty high, expectation. You can see in November, we increased by 3%. November, we increased by 1%. By January, I didn't write down yet, but it's 95%, so I increased 3%, or we increased as a school 3% for January. I was showing my staff the other day, I had a little note card, I was going around talking to them. One side of the note card, I had the attendance as of that day last year. Now the other one was the current attendance. We have a 2% overall attendance increase from this time right now to the beginning of the school year, as opposed to last year, that exact day, compared to last year. 2% increase. I could just do flips down the hall. And I tell my students all the time, it's a big deal. It's a big deal to be here to learn. Your employer, they're going to want to know, number one, do you get along with everyone else? Number two, do you show up to work? Number three, when you get here, you're going to do your job. And I tell my students that, can you get along with others? Are you going to show up and be reliable every day? And can you actually do your job? Because those things are important. And so I'm very proud of that. Also on discipline for second quarter, first quarter discipline, we decreased discipline first quarter this year compared to last year by 14%, a 14% decrease. If you look at second quarter, is a 30% decrease in discipline. So, I'm very proud of our discipline rates. It is down. Total D's and F's, you will see that we had almost a 50% decrease first quarter. Second quarter, it went up. And I want to talk about that. It looks like it went up a lot. And I sat there and I got kind of frustrated with it. And I said, well, what is the expectation? Because I told my staff, we can't ever get to a point where it's zero. You can't ever have 0 D's and F's. And so I said, I took the number of kids I have in my building, multiplied it by the number of courses I have. 95% of all grades at Mayo Middle School, so if you flip this, 95% of all grades at Mayo Middle School are A's, B's, or C's. That's pretty darn high. So now we're looking at, was our goal really realistic? And what is that fluctuation point? How high should that be? Because kids should be able to fail. We don't want them to, and I'll do everything in the world to help them. So that's one of the ones where we're able to reflect as a building and have that dialogue. And I think it's important that we do have those conversations in the building. So, but still, I think that it's a very positive attribute. On the other sheet, you'll see where it says, these are more of our school environment goals. You can see where we have numbers, or 100% of students will be involved in an activity. Second quarter, we ended off with 94% of all Mayo Middle School kids have been involved in some extracurricular activity this year. And so I gave the list of kids who haven't been involved to my teachers, and I said, it's your responsibility to get that kid involved somewhere. And so we will hit 100% by the end of the third quarter. You can also see on here 100% contact with our parents. I wanted us to actually have face-to-face or at least voice-to-voice over the phone contact with our parents. And so we hit that first quarter. And then also you can see the 1,000 hours of community service. I'll be honest, I really thought I overshot that one at the beginning of the year. But after second quarter, we have 642 hours of community service that my kids have donated. So pretty darn proud about a good school with great things, excellent teachers, and we're really moving and shaking. So I just wanted to show you guys that. So as you walk into Mayo, feel free to take a look at that because we're putting ourselves out there for everyone to look at. So thank you for your time.
Very good.
The only other items, I don't think we have any more voting items, are just some informational items this evening. We did receive a letter dated January 22nd from Doug Hassler informing the board of his intent to resign from the board. He said how much he enjoyed being on the board for so many years. I think he said he started when his son was in first grade, and he followed him through high school. He has other endeavors going on now, but he's still very much interested in education. So it was with regret that we would accept that, but we have posted for that and notified the regional office of our vacancy. We did receive word informing the district that Mr. Roberts had written for a maintenance grant, for a $50,000 maintenance grant, and we did receive that grant, so I was really proud of Sam for getting the information in on time and getting it in to where it was approvable. We would like to finish the girls' restrooms. We did the boys' restrooms at Mayo a couple of years ago, and then we were gonna do the girls the next, and we just didn't have the money to do that. So this is a matching grant, so we plan on doing the girls' restrooms. So you can tell we've made lots and lots of improvements at Mayo. I think every room is air conditioned now at Mayo. We have a new health room, we have two new computer labs, and if we get the restrooms remodeled, we've done quite a bit to the school to help academically and otherwise. So I was proud to inform the board of that this evening. And as they talked about, we've been meeting with people, with different companies. We'll meet with another on furniture, fixtures, and equipment for the building. We will probably call in our architectural firm, FGM, and their consultant for that to help us as well. Lots of companies are out there that are willing to take on the entire project and everything from the ordering to installing, but we would like a little help with some of the just design options and things to make it a really appealing place. We know the building, we want certain areas in the lunchroom and the library and, well, all the areas, but your theater to be very, very inviting and multi-purpose, like Dave said. So once we start looking, it just gets to be, it's a large task. So we will continue to work on that. We'll be bringing that to the building committees, and if any of you, if there's things that we're discussing or that we're kind of trying to debate on, make sure all of you have input, or if you'd like to sit in on one of those meetings, because you may have some ideas that we didn't think of, we'd be glad for you to share those with us. So appreciate it, and that's all of the superintendent's agenda.
Okay. Do we have any committee reports this evening? Public?
I've got not really a building committee report, but I do have an issue that's a building committee thing I'd like to bring up. At the school board convention in November in Chicago, I saw a demonstration by 3M Company of a film that they offer, which can be applied to entrance doors. And basically, it is a delay mechanism that would delay any potential intruder trying to break into a building situation. It will offer, according to 3M, 60 seconds of extra time. So I would like to ask Sam to investigate that and see what it would cost us to apply this to our entrance doors. And he's agreed to do that, so.
Okay, good.
I thought it was a very good presentation, and I was glad I was able to see that at the convention.
Very interesting. Any delay you can possibly have, depending on the amount to it, that gives you that much more time to put your plan in action and think about those things, but you have to. All right, Sam, you'll look into that?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sam, good job on the grant. That's great news.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
We're happy.
Thank you.
Public hearings and petitions, unfinished business, matters for follow-up, new business, right to revert to prior order of business. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Tuttle,
Yes.
Bailey, Calvert,
Yes.
Isom,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Davis is yes, the meeting's adjourned.